40 to 50 people lined up for just one rental. This is a rental inspection in Sydney in 2025. More than 40 people lined up for one apartment. And $800 a week, 2-bedroom unit with no parking. And if you think this is crazy, wait until you hear what actually happens inside these queues. Because this isn't just a rental crisis, it's a housing survival game. And today, I'm going to show you why this is happening. If you're renting in Australia right now, you will really feel this. Now let's talk about what Sydney looks like today. Greater Sydney's rental vacancy rate, just 1.8%. To put that in perspective, anything under 3% is considered a tight market. Sydney isn't tight. Sydney is strangling renters. And rents, they've jumped by over $13,000 a year since 2020. That means someone paying $450 a week 4 years ago is now paying more than $700 a week for the same thing. And sometimes even less. But the numbers alone don't tell the story. The queues do. Properties all over Sydney, Bondi, Randwick, Parramatta, Burwood, Strathfield are pulling 20, 30, even 50 people at a single inspection. Agents are overwhelmed. Renters are exhausted. And the competition, it's brutal. People applying within minutes. People offering 6 months rent upfront. People begging. One journalist said Sydney has entered Hunger Games territory. Honestly, it doesn't even feel like an exaggeration anymore. Now, let me show you the human side of this. Imagine this. You finish work early. You rush to an inspection. You arrive 10 minutes before it starts. And there are already 40 people ahead of you. You walk inside. The carpet looks tired. The kitchen hasn't been updated since the early 2000s. The bathroom tiles are cracked. And the agent smiles politely and says, make sure you apply today. We are expecting a lot of interest. You look around and every single person in that room has the same thought. I don't stand a chance. And this is the reality for tens of thousands in Sydney. People tell me, I have applied for 27 properties and not a single callback. I'm spending 40% of my income on rent. I don't know how much longer I can do this. My partner and I are considering sleeping in our car if we don't get a place soon. And that's not just talk. Rough sleeping in parts of Sydney has skyrocketed, especially in areas where rent has exploded. People are moving further and further away from their jobs. Some are couch hopping. Some are living in temporary Airbnb rooms. Some are stuck in unhealthy share houses with strangers twice their age because they have no choice. This isn't just a rental crisis. This is a mental health crisis, a financial crisis, a dignity crisis, and it isn't slowing down. Now let's talk about why is Sydney like this? Why is renting suddenly so impossible? Well, here's the truth. We simply don't have enough rental homes. Years of underbuilding, slow planning approvals, zoning rules that choke density, and investors leaving the market. Demand is increasing, supply is not. Sydney's population is growing fast. People want to live close to the city, the beaches, the cafe lifestyle, but the housing stock in these areas hasn't kept up. Because while most people are stuck battling these queues, a small but growing group of renters are quietly avoiding this entire mess. They're moving into something called new age boarding houses. And if you've never heard of it, don't worry, you're not alone. Most people haven't. What are new age boarding houses? Instead of renting an entire apartment, you rent a private room or private studio inside a purpose-built building. You get your own space, your own bathroom, fully furnished interiors, high-speed internet, common living area, shared kitchen, and most importantly, flexible leases. Now let me explain the part most people don't realize. Co-living doesn't have 50% inspections. You apply directly through the building and most approvals happen in days, sometimes hours. The upfront cost is way lower. With a normal rental, you need bond, you need 2 weeks rent, furniture, you need to arrange for the utilities. With new age boarding houses, the room already has a bed, a desk, wardrobe, Wi-Fi, electricity, water, furniture. There's no 3,000 to 4,000 setup cost. You basically show up with a suitcase. The competition is dramatically lower. Because it's a separate system, most renters don't even know these buildings exist. So instead of fighting 40 people for one apartment, you're dealing with a single leasing manager. Now let me give you a real example. Sarah, 27, moved to Sydney for work. She spent 5 weeks going to inspection after inspection, 33 applications, 0 approvals. And then she tried these new age boarding houses. She did one virtual tour, sent her documents and moved in 3 days later. No queues, no anxiety, no begging agents for updates. New age boarding houses aren't a miracle solution. They are not for families. They're not for people needing full isolation or large spaces. But if you're single, a couple, or a working professional or a student, it can genuinely save you money, time, stress, and a lot of heartbreak. And in a city where renting feels like a sport, the new age boarding houses are the only model right now that lets you opt out of the competition entirely. Sydney's rental market is brutal. It is overwhelming. And honestly, it's unfair. But you are not powerless. There are alternatives. New age boarding houses won't solve the entire crisis, but they can solve your crisis. And if you want me to cover the best new age boarding house buildings in Sydney or how to compare the cost properly, drop a comment below. And if this video helped you, share it with someone who is currently struggling. Because no one deserves to spend their weekend standing in a 50-person rental queue. I am Rajan Sharma. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.